Hi, Cortland. I wanted to leave you some feedback on your week one writing assignment. First off, let's talk about your formatting. Your heading looks great, very professional. Don't forget to include your header over here in the right hand corner, which is your last name and page number. Remember, there is a tutorial on how to format your paper in MLA in the resources folder. So if you need help with creating a header, you can find it there. Also, be certain to double space your entry, so that this content here should look like your header. Sorry, your heading. Excuse me. So let's talk about your submission. So your paragraphs look pretty good. The flow of an organization of your ideas is pretty logical and linear in that you start with this background information, you move on to analyzing, and then finally you move on to application and making a connection to writing. There's just a few things here and there that I want to talk to you about. First off, you want to avoid using contractions in professional writing. It's just too informal. So just make sure that you write out the words, right? So I'm turns into I am, I don't take should be I do not. It's fine, of course, to use contractions when we're talking to one another. We use them all the time, but writing's different, particularly with professional writing. We want to remain informal in tone, so we want to make sure that we edit for that. Same here, another area where you're slipping into informal tone, and this is where it gets a little confusing in here. I've had a few encounters where me and another didn't agree at all. Get in there and rewrite that phrase. So perhaps I've had a few encounters where I didn't agree with another person, right? Does that make sense? It's another doesn't really take the place of a person, so you need to get that into the sentence. And the phrasing me and Joe, or me and a friend, that's always an informal structure as well. You want to say something like my friend and I, Joe and I, for example. So you set up this like wonderful conversation, and then like we end up not having it, which is kind of disappointed. So you said I've had these few encounters, so I'm like, okay, great. He's going to tell us about them, but then you don't. You skip over it entirely. So remember, the prompt asks you to identify and describe like a very specific encounter. So make sure that you do that. So one of the reasons why I'm kind of pushing on this is because in academic writing and professional writing, anytime you make a claim, you have to support it with evidence. And evidence can take a lot of different forms. In this case, when you're writing about a personal example, right, evidence is probably going to take the form of you telling a little mini narrative. So what I mean by that is you literally tell the story of this encounter where you and this other person had the disagreement. Finally, the one last thing that I want to talk to you about is second person. Be certain to avoid second person in professional writing. Like I was talking about contractions up here, it's just far too informal. So in this case, even though you're trying to talk broadly about everyone, right? When we say, you know how you feel when you wake up in the morning and you just don't want to get out of bed. When I'm saying you in that sentence, I'm trying to create a closeness between me and my audience. And that's something that I can get away with in speech, but hopefully you're recognizing a theme here. In professional writing, it's too informal. So I would either turn this into I. So to get a full understanding, I address both stands. I address both standpoints of the engagement, right? Or you could say, to get a full understanding, writers should address ... So do you see the change that I made there? So as a writer, you need to determine, when I'm saying you, do I literally mean myself here? Or am I trying to talk more broadly? And if I'm trying to talk more broadly, what is a specific concrete noun that I could put in that would replace the you? So what group of people do I mean when I say this? So really, this is a pretty good response to the prompt. it just needs a little bit of polishing here and there.